Cryostasis shutdown complete. Vital signs stable. Activating fairness suit. Suit diagnostic complete. All systems functional.
Hey everyone, it's Matt from IGN and I'm here with Bose.
Hey, what's up, guys?
We're doing a dual video review. It's the first time we've ever done this, but we both love Metroid. We both played through the game, and we thought we'd give you both of our opinions.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get right into it.
Before we go any further, you should know there are spoilers in this video review, so watch at your own risk. Corruption's the third game in the Metroid Prime trilogy, and in many ways it's the best of the three, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the design, just from a mechanical and a visual standpoint, is much better than the other two games overall. I think this is the definitive version.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
If you're a Nintendo fan, you obviously know about the Metroid Prime series. It goes all the way back to the original Metroid games, except now they've been reinvented in 3D with a first-person perspective. In Corruption, you once more play as famous bounty hunter Samus Aran. This time, though, you're battling both Dark Samus and there's going to be some twists along the way. You're going to see the hunters from the DS game, and you may even see some classic enemies from Metroid games way back. What you're going to notice right off the bat is that Prime 3 has a much more cinematic feel than previous games, and that also extends to voice acting. All the characters, humanoid this time around, actually have speaking parts. It's funny because we often complain Zelda didn't have any voice roles, but you know, Retro really did it right. Samus doesn't talk, everybody else does, and it actually works really well.
Yeah, and dare I say it actually has more of a Halo feel almost, because it's very epic. You feel like it's the end of a trilogy, and you're actually part of this larger group and a larger universe this time around.
Early screens of Prime 3 didn't look so hot, honestly. It was kind of blurry, not so great on the environment selection. I don't know if you remember those, Bozan.
Yeah, absolutely was. But you know, you really have to give this game credit, and you really have to see it in 60 frames per second in all its glory, widescreen, 480p, to truly see where the game has kind of gone beyond what Echoes and what Prime 1 originally did.
Exactly. So to be a little more specific, though, you've got now bloom lighting, which looks really good, I think.
Right.
They've upped the texture resolution, so if you're seeing the environments up close, they look a little crisper. Maybe not noticeable in some of our screens, but once you actually have it on your TV, you'll be able to tell. Beyond that, the particle effects have seen a dramatic improvement. Character models look a little better, and animation all around is looking pretty spot on.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you look back and you think about what you saw when you played Prime or when you played Echoes. It doesn't really look that much different, but when you actually get it in there and you're playing it, you see all these little differences, it really starts to add up.
Yeah, and also coming off Echoes, which had the drab, purplish dark world, here you've got a variety of gorgeous environments, and you're traveling through a galactic empire, basically. You're going between planets, all which have a different look. So you have that fire world, you have that snow world, you have like the high-tech environments, you have the biological environments, and you've got some crazy stuff in between. We won't even talk about some of the seed places you go to, but I mean, there's some, let's just say, alien stuff going down.
Moving away from the visuals, though, is really what made the game for me, which was the gameplay. Basically, the Wii Remote is exactly what what the game needed to draw in guys like me that are very shooter-intensive, but maybe didn't really give Prime a fair shake on GameCube as they should have.
Yeah, exactly. We played Medal of Honor, we played Call of Duty on Wii, and this has them beat. The controls are tighter, it's faster, it's more responsive all around. Not to say it's perfect, you don't have a mouse and keyboard set up at your hands here, but you do have the ability to really navigate the world more speedily and just with a lot more freedom than you had before.
And then you've got the 3 different modes that Retro basically lets you use. Advanced is pretty much the only one I'd ever use. Am I in agreement with that, right?
Absolutely. It's if you use the basic mode, the standard mode that it comes with, that's basically playing Red Steel mode. That's baby mode. I would not recommend in the least.
Right. Yeah. Red Steel Prime is pretty much how we describe it.
Yeah. Advanced is the one because you can actually turn much quicker and it just feels much more responsive. I know we're beating a dead horse here. It's really good. You guys are gonna like it. You know, it definitely proves the Wii Remote more than any other game to date.
Yeah, and then Retro actually proved that you can use the Wii Remote gesture system without being really gimmicky too. You've got basically like train controls. You can push in, pull out. You have to pump some objects in the game. You use the grappling hook with your left hand and the nunchuck controller.
Yeah, I really like that grappling feature. You just basically throw your nunchuck outward and then snap backward, and you can pull shields off, you can pull tails off enemies, you can pull panels off walls, all this cool stuff they've really done with it.
Yeah, they used it a ton more than I thought they originally were going to, and you combine that with the IR and kind of with the immersion factor you get just basically from tinkering with all these things in the environment, and overall it just feels like a great game. At the same time, though, also the guys that are more adventure intensive are going to be happy to hear that the game is very segmented. There are certain areas that are shooter intensive, and there are certain areas where you may not even fire a gun except to open doors, for large stretches at a time.
Yeah, you could call this a first-person shooter. You could also call it a first-person adventure game, and I actually prefer the latter. I still think it's an adventure game. You do have, it's not like the game has suddenly been dumbed down, and it's just a shell of what it used to be. That's not the case at all. It's still very much, it has that retraversal nature where you're going through the world and you're solving environmental puzzles just as much as you're gunning down enemies.
Yeah, and on top of that, I've got to give props to the level design, because you've always got the thing where you tease and you say, yeah, there's going to be something that I'll come back to later. In this game, though, it's really thought out, really well thought out. You're basically forgetting about an area, going on to a new place, and then by the time you're ready to come back, you're fine with stepping into that world again. And it kind of lends itself to that graphical diversity